were you kind of like, did you have any side hustles like growing up? Were you doing anything? You
Yeah.
did? What were you doing?
So I've always 6 years old baking cookies with the neighbors and selling them on the corner.
I love it. I love that story.
What's up, everybody? My name is Adam, and I'm the host of the UKnowAdamTsang podcast, the show that is dedicated on bringing on passionate people, learning about their stories, and delivering value to entrepreneurs. So if that's what you're interested in, go ahead and follow, like, and subscribe. You know what I'm saying?
How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the UKnowAdamTsang podcast, where you get to know a little bit more about people, passions, and all things business. Today, sitting across the way, I have Mr. William Bridwell of the Blue Room, as well as Airbound Entertainment. William, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, brother.
I've been wanting to do this show for a while, but we see each other kind of like passing through town.
No doubt.
And I've always said, hey, I got to bring you on the show, and I'm so happy that you're finally here. Welcome.
Glad to be here, man. Admire everything that you do, and happy to be a small part of it.
No, a big part of it. We got some stuff coming.
In the works.
So let's talk about what it is that you do. I think that where everything really started out at was really Airbound Entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
We met many years ago, kind of with that project. And what is Airbound Entertainment?
So Airbound has become more of an umbrella for kind of all the hats that I wear. It started off as just the entity that I use to book bands, solo acts. Then I got into booking for venues. Shout out Dingus McGee's was the first venue that I booked for. And then it just kind of spiraled into anything that I got into from that point forward. So Greek life events has been kind of my bread and butter, since 2015, 2016.
Okay.
And then I got into promoting shows, so it's just kind of a conglomerate of all the things that I am involved with entertainment-wise.
Fantastic. And let's touch on Blue Room for kind of like people, the audience that doesn't know what Blue Room is. I don't know if you're in Statesboro, you don't know what Blue Room is. That's completely wild, but what is possible. Blue Room?
So the Blue Room is a music venue, a bar, located right across from Paulson Stadium. Used to be South City Tavern, the Borough, right before we took over. Purchased the Blue Room from the Borough in 2018, May of 2018. We busted it for three and a half months, and opened up August 2018. Mm-hmm. And it's really wild, mind-blowing, the level of success that the Blue Room has had. So, yeah, that's
so excited to talk about this because, entertainment is something that I think a lot of entrepreneurs are interested in. Mm-hmm. Budding entrepreneurs, they have an interest in, booking venues, booking music, so forth and so on. So I'm so fascinated with this, podcast. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about, I think the initial one was Airbound, right? Mm-hmm. How did you kind of get started in that realm? Do you have a music background?
So, you're looking at, so I grew up in Birmingham, Alabama. Living in the suburb, Hoover. Went to Hoover High School. You're looking at Hoover High School's senior most musical vocal.
Right. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know.
No wonder you were checking the mic earlier. Mic check one.
So I gave up the singing.
Do you still sing?
No.
Come on. No. We got to get you on a track.
No, man. I like the behind the scenes, work.
What did you sing back in the day?
I was a tenor.
Okay.
I was in it was like
chorus?
More choral background.
Okay, very nice.
Yeah, throughout high school and whatnot. Okay. But when I went to Alabama, I had buddies who, were playing, solo acoustic, duo acoustic, type stuff at bars in Tuscaloosa. And a couple of them were like, I just want to play, and I don't have a business background. They're not, some musicians are a little more reserved and,
Yeah, sure. They're all about the art.
Yeah,
because art
right.
and business, there's a
absolutely
difference between
100%. And, I think it's something that I always kind of, had a knack for, sales and, talking to people and networking. So in a small way, that's kind of like where it started. Just booking my buddies, for a couple $100 and, and that's kind of where I'll back up. In high school, they ask you what you want to do, in life.
Sure.
What are your goals? And at some point in a project or something, I'd referenced 3 goals in life, which was I wanted to work in the music business. I wanted to own a venue. And I wanted to have a recording studio someday.
Ooh. So two of them.
So
when's the recording studio coming in?
Yeah. Now actually understanding, the millions of dollars of capital that would need to go into one, with not sure the return being so great. We'll see on that one.
That's right. So was business kind of like always there? Like you said that you sang. Mm-hmm. Were you kind of like, did you have any side hustles like growing up? Were you doing anything? You did? What were you doing?
I mean, I was always that kid hustling the hood.
Yeah? CDs? What are we talking about?
No, I mean, I was never afraid to get my hands dirty. So,
okay.
Pressure washing, aerating yard. I would go to United Rentals or whatever, rent an aerating machine, the things that poke holes in people's lawns to aerate the ground.
That's right.
I would rent the aerator for $250 for the weekend or whatever, and I'd go and I'd make $1,200.
Love that.
Aerating people's lawns and stuff. So I've always 6 years old baking cookies with the neighbors and selling them on the corner. I
love it. I love that story.
Absolutely. So I've always just kind of had that
business
fire
mindset.
Yeah, that kind of fire inside, to get out there and get after it. And so there's kind of that aspect to just my overall mentality in life. But fast forward to your initial question, fast forward from my days at Bama, I wind up at Georgia Southern. I never finished school at Bama.
Okay.
I left and I was running CVS pharmacies and managing CVS pharmacies. And
still doing the music like management?
No.
Or you stopped?
So I was not in business in Tuscaloosa.
Got you.
I mean, I was just, it was booking some stuff for a buddy here, booking, some stuff for a buddy, nothing serious whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
It was when I came back to Southern to finish school that I say my business started.
Gotcha.
In the last semester of school at Southern, I ended up graduating 2015. I formalized it. I set up the LLC, bank accounts, the full 9. But it started back here. I was playing poker with a group of guys that I played poker with on occasion. One of them, great musician, great guitarist. And just over small talk at the poker table, he said, I have a band, like I can't get booked anywhere. And I told, just jokingly told him about my days back at Bama and that spawned into, he said, well, seriously, like, can you try to get us some bookings?
Yeah.
And I took it and I ran with it. And within a few weeks, I had, a dozen dates or so booked for his band.
Wow.
After a couple months, one of the members of his band was in another band.
Okay.
And they saw, I guess, what I was doing with that first band and asked if I would,
also help
handle their booking.
Okay.
So that, just kind of snowballed into, kind of freelance booking for several other acts, like just whatever I could get for them. They would, book some of their own stuff too, but I would, help supplement.
Would you be able to get like larger shows or?
That's where the frat stuff started.
Gotcha.
I started making connections with, fraternity social chairs here. Shout out SAE. They were the first fraternity that I worked with at Georgia Southern. And those are the bookings for artists that can usually net them a little bit more money than like a bar gig or a club show. But from there, just really started to, every morning I'd wake up, start sending emails, reaching out, cold calling venue owners, talent buyers, managers of places, and just really started working it,
This industry, I think, is probably a little bit difficult to break into, right? Like in terms of like, managing talent and getting them bookings. What do you think kind of like led to your success?
I think my love of music and just the knowledge of, what sounds good, and what, from the marketing standpoint, what appeals to whatever demographic you're trying to appeal to, I think was a good kind of foundation. But, I think when it comes down to it, work ethic is, I feel like anybody that has a strong work ethic and is dedicated to something can find success. Anybody can be successful.
That's huge.
So I think just that kind of tenacity, that drive, that like, okay, like I'm good at this, how far can I take this?
Yeah.
So it went from, those two bands to I was booking a lot of stuff for Dingus. And finally, after I think the second semester of, probably booking 80% of the stuff that was in there, shout out to David Lane and Herc, Miss Steph, they gave me a chance as kind of an outsider, not a Dingus employee, which was a big thing, to handle their calendar and book everything that they
gave you the complete control.
Yep. So I controlled their calendar.
What does music do for a venue?
So we'll take it from every end of the spectrum. Look out at one table in Dingus McGee's of a group of girls and guys who are arms around each other singing along to a song.
Sweet Caroline.
Exactly. To 2,500 people, cell phone lights out, singing every word of that artist's song. It's like a camaraderie. It's a escape life,
type of moment
for a moment or for an hour or whatever it may be, and just enjoying life. That's what I see most when I look out into an audience, is just smiles, singing along, people having a blast, and that's something that'll never ever get old.
Well, let's talk about something here, because, there's obviously those moments there. Have you ever had any moments when, like, it doesn't connect, where, like, the band that's playing that live, has maybe a little bit more challenging time connecting with the audience? Yeah. Have you ever had those situations?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
What do you do in that? Like, it's kind of like, how do you prevent that from happening?
Right. Or? Not every booking, not every show is a win, Thankfully, like, take Blue Room, for example, we have had a good amount of success with selling out shows and packing rooms out for artists and whatnot. But, then you'll have those head scratchers, like, just to name drop a few artists, like I love Drew Parker, country artist, Travis Denning, who have both had some radio songs and whatnot, and I think warrant, a packed room.
Yeah.
But maybe it's a timing thing.
Sure.
Maybe there's other stuff going on or whatever. So not every single show is a home run. But I think just knowing your market, knowing your demo, taking in all that data and information, and just making the best decisions that you can.
Yeah.
And if one doesn't go to plan, you move on to the next one.
What's kind of like the current state of, I guess, the taste in Statesboro? What would you say?
It's definitely, it's a country music town. I love a bunch of different genres, really, and I honestly, I wish that there was a more eclectic taste, but if I just put in stuff that I wanted to see all the time,
sure.
It
wouldn't do the business justice.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it probably wouldn't be great for business.
Yeah.
And that's something that I learned pretty quickly, like in booking shows. And that's where I think over the last several years, most of what I do in terms of being a promoter now is country music. Just because that's the area that we're in, that's that's what people are most interested in buying a ticket to see an artist for, so we try to give people what they want.
Makes sense. So, let's get back to the story. We've kind of you've taken over the calendar at Dingus. How are you feeling during this period of time? Are you just like, man, this is awesome?
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely I think it was around then when that fire got lit, I in 2016 started booking for Barrel House South in Savannah.
Okay.
And I still hold their calendar to this day. That was a kind of a step up. So, Dingus, famous for George Southern. Anybody that knows George Southern,
they know
Dingus McGee's.
Yeah.
So that was great for kind of the local Statesboro, connection type thing. Barrel House had been known as the music spot in Savannah. So that was, I feel like for me, the first time that I felt like, okay, a venue that is booking acts from all over the country that come through Savannah, is trusting me to continue to bring in top-notch talent. So that's what I feel like kind of gave me some validation of okay, I'm doing something right here.
Yeah.
And it just, the entertainment industry is a huge network.
Sure.
And that aspect of things is just super important.
Yeah.
And that's how I got to know a lot more artists, was just from booking them, at Barrel House or Dingus or both. And, just continuing the relationship from there, So that continued on. By 2016, 2017, I was really, I'd really networked hard in the Greek life world. By end of 2017, I was full into doing sorority events as well. One of the first ones, Kappa Delta, formal, spring 2017. And we became a one-stop shop for Greek life events.
Got you.
So I would literally sit down with social chairs and go over every aspect of the event. And we would coordinate every aspect that they wanted our help with.
Got you.
So finding the venue, renting tents, tables, chairs, lining up catering, bar services, just the whole nine. Entertainment.
So they would just come to you, and then everything would be handled by your team.
Exactly. Entertainment, staging, production, whatever it may be. Floaties.
Whatever exactly. It is, the bouncy houses, everything, right?
Floaties. So that was when I started to get into the sorority stuff, along with the fraternity stuff. we were probably doing at least 75% of Greek life events at Georgia Southern. Once I kind of had that foundation here, that's when I really started to kind of work out from there. So started doing stuff at Clemson and UGA and Alabama and Ole Miss. And
how do you throw the perfect party?
Oh man, great question. Again, it's knowing your audience. And that's what can be difficult about Greek life stuff is at each university, there's like the different vibe, So from that point, I worked my way out to making relationships out in Texas.
Wow.
So by 2018, Georgia Southern was my biggest college market in terms of Greek life. UT Austin was my number 2.
Wow. So you were traveling out there?
So I would go out to Austin like 4 times a year, 3 or 4 times a year, and just meet with social chairs for 2 or 3 days. And being able to make that face-to-face connection and, illustrate to them what we could do for them and whatnot was an integral part of building those relationships. And, that's really when the Greek life stuff took off.
Yeah.
Artists have once you get to a level, you have representation, an agent, management, whatever. And being able to send in those more substantial offers, for artists, I think put me on the map with some of those major agencies. And it's funny, man, like we still will book an event here or there, for a local city or an organization, whatever, that they just can't get a response from, they can find the information online on who this artist's agent is, but they just don't get a response. So building those relationships, and that network to where, I'd be able to get a response on an artist's availability, pricing, whatever, within an hour.
Yeah.
And the client would be like, oh my, we've been trying for 2 weeks. So the Greek life stuff really helped to kind of elevate, what I was able to do in the industry and whatnot.
Yeah.
So the perfect party, back to the question, I mean, it's just knowing your audience and delivering exactly what they want.
Yeah.
I had a party in College Station at A&M the first Friday in November. I don't really book anything at Texas A&M that is not EDM. I mean, like that's what
the
they
style.
Want. Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah, knowing that what they wanted with their party, and we kind of established budget up front, and I'll usually bring them options that would put them under budget, at their budget, or I'll even give them like a little, if you wanted to spend a little bit more, this is what you could get type of thing. I think like when it comes to, it depends on the entertainment you're putting in for what makes the perfect party, for an EDM act, production, the experience is a huge thing. I mean, you went to EDC.
That's right.
Orlando this past weekend. I mean, their sets are insane.
That's right.
And that's just part of the experience, So for that party at A&M at the beginning of the month, like I put a production heavy package in front of them with CO2 cannons and flashing lights.
Fire! The fireworks.
So I have done pyro at a Greek life event.
That's awesome. Yeah. That is awesome.
So, it's really like knowing your audience and I think the primary thing for continuing to do business in the Greek life world is that, you have to deliver what it is that they want.
That's right.
Or else they're going to go find somebody else that can.
I would argue in any sort of business that's true.
Absolutely, 100%.
Right? Like your lifeline is your customers. If they're satisfied with the product, they'll come back to you.
Know your customer.
That's
for
right.
Sure. It applies to the Blue Room.
Sure.
We opened up in 2018. We have been constantly evolving, updating, upgrading since we opened.
I love that.
I was joking with my wife last week that Kaleo, who's one of my partners, there was a point in time where, I would have an idea for something and just spitball it. Like I would just say, well, what if we, did XYZ?
Yeah.
And then, that we'll just kind of leave it at that. And then the next week, like I would see some of our guys like ripping out walls or ripping out areas, like, and I would be like, what's going on? And I'd be like, well, we're doing what you
told us to do.
I didn't, but that's just kind of how, for a period of time, me and Alan Kaleo, like that's kind of how we operated. Was like, if there was something that we think could make the experience better for our patrons, then we're going to do it.
That's right.
So it's
we did a little bit of jump here. So you kind of like started booking, across the country at multiple different kind of like places. How does Blue Room come along? Like, was that like something that kind of like just fell into your lap? It was an opportunity, or what did that look like?
So I believe it was 2016. I did my first promoter show in Statesboro.
Okay.
What is now Southern Social was once a place called Club 125.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey, man, take it away back.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So that's when Gatto's was the other building across the lot. So the same owner owned those two places at the time. I did a little concert series for Club 125 in spring of 2016, I believe. Now I think it's spring 2015. And then I, worked out a deal to rent the room for a night. I booked a country artist named David Nail, who had a couple radio songs. I had some relationships going with Greek life organizations, by that point. And by that time, Club 125 had changed to Moonshiners.
Okay.
So I booked David Nail for Moonshiners, and we sold out. I sold out my first show. And then from there, I just kept promoting shows in the market. And Moonshiners shut down, I believe it was the spring semester of 2017. So I had a relationship going with South City Tavern, which is where what the Blue Room once was. And they said, cool, yeah, if you want to bring in any shows here, go for it.
Yeah.
So I actually... they did not have a formal stage.
I remember this.
Yeah.
I remember this.
Right. Their backyard had a little 8x8 wooden platform in the back that had a little awning over it, and that was like their backyard stage. So I actually budgeted into two shows that I had coming up that were supposed to be at Moonshiners that then they got shut down.
That's right.
So I had two shows that on the books confirmed with deposits down that didn't have anywhere to have the show. So, and these are national acts.
Yeah.
Corey Smith was one of them. So I actually budgeted into the two shows and brought in a contractor and built out their outdoor stage so that we could have those two events, so that the stage was large enough, legit enough, to host those two shows there.
Yeah. How much time did you have? Like, was it like
3
just
months?
3 months?
Yeah.
Oh, so you did have some time.
Yeah, it wasn't super rushed. So, anyways, we had those two shows. Continued on. Fast forward. South City, the owners, they were opening up a business in Clemson, and they just didn't want to be in the Statesboro market anymore. They were not regularly busy. If we would bring in an event in, those would be the busiest nights that they would have. So naturally, they pitched to me and said, "Well, you want to buy the business, you know? I don't know. Like, I feel like in life, you know, timing is a huge aspect in business. It just didn't feel right. I don't know. I can't really explain it to this day. You know, I feel like those gut feelings that you have is kind of like your conscience, you know,
do you feel like you weren't ready? Like, what was it?
You know, no matter what I've done in business, like, it's, you do it all the way or just don't do it, you know? I don't think that I felt like I had, you know, the capital to make it what I wanted to make it, at that point, you know. And I don't know. Statesboro had gone through some stuff with some tragedy in the plaza, and that in turn, of course, you know, they
made it
were
tough.
Very strict lockdown on the bar type of, you know. I mean, it hurt attendance in Georgia Southern.
100%.
You know, so you know, that vibe was still kind of, you know, around, and you know, just didn't feel like the timing was right. So a guy from Savannah came in and bought South City, turned it into the borough.
That's right.
So I was able to continue that relationship.
Still booking for them.
Yeah, still putting in shows there.
Got you.
Yep. Did several of those, you know, several more of those. And then 8 months in, they're just having a time, man. Like they can't get more than 20 people into the place unless we're doing a big event there. So that owner says, you know, I think it was 8 to 10 months in to them owning that place, they said, this is not for us, you know. And he said, I remember to this day, he was like, I mean, you seem to have a knack for this, dude. Like, you know, everything that y'all have done for us has been awesome, and, you know, want to buy it, you know. And
did you feel ready at that point?
So it's so funny because, you know, you're talking about less than a year difference in time. You know, in time. But yeah, it was like, okay, yeah, I mean, you know, I want to do this,
sure.
You know. By that point, you know, this is May 2018. My Greek life business is just killing it. Yeah. Like, you know, flying out to Texas 3 or 4 times a year, doing $300,000-$400,000 in parties a semester. I mean, just crazy, you know. And you know, after a few weeks of negotiating, we kind of had things in place for what it would look like, but I had never had experience in the bar side.
Got you.
You know, like the events side, marketing, you know, marketing events and whatnot, like, cool.
No
I
problem
got that.
At all. Yeah.
So by this time I had, you know, started to form I'd had a relationship with, and we had started to become, you know, closer with Al Chapman, who owns Nat's Landing in Del Sur, or now Del Sur. At that time, it was just Nat's Landing.
That's right.
And we had become friends enough to where the last few shows that that I had at the borough, you know, I invited he and his wife to come out and hang out, to come see Old Dominion, and you know, so we had just become tighter. You know, Al had an awesome reputation for being a great, you know, business person in Statesboro, having, you know, a restaurant / bar that he took from not being a very successful place to just a complete transformation, and becoming an integral part of Statesboro.
That's right.
You know, and I remember calling him and you know, because I kind of had the deal points in place, ready, you know, and the last show that he had come to that I'd invited him to, one point in the middle of the set, everybody's having a blast. The crowd's, just loving it. I said, we should do one of these, like as in like a bar, a music venue, and he was like, I'm down, and it was kind of left there. We didn't go in depth with that or anything. And then I called him after negotiating the stuff with the borough, and I was like, so you ready? And he was like, what you talking about? He was like,
did he remember the conversation?
Oh, yeah,
oh, okay.
For sure. He just didn't know what I was talking about out of the blue, So I was like, well, we can buy the borough.
Yeah.
So May 2018, we signed the paperwork to buy the borough. Took over immediately. I had pitched this to South City and the borough owners. I'd always had a vision for the way the room should be laid out.
Yep.
So I think you even came to like some Orange Constant stuff, maybe like back when it was South City, the borough.
Where the stage is at right now used to be the entrance.
The entrance.
Right. And that was like one of the biggest things that I saw when I came in. I was like, wait, that looks completely different.
Yeah.
But it worked.
Yeah, for sure.
And so how did that come about?
Well, layout is everything when you want to see a performer. Mm-hmm. So the way that they had it, there's a big square bar in the middle, which does not make any format in the room easy, right? But all the plumbing is in there, that is not moving.
That's right.
Right. Yeah. Well, there's this upper area, in between, the bar on one side, there's this upper area that is, 4 feet off the ground and had railing, on the front end. Well, what we had to do for a couple shows was we had to break the barrier to be able to remove it to make that upper area an indoor stage.
That's right.
It was not ideal. Not
convenient. There's just pain.
Yeah. Just not good. So anyways, I'd pitched that idea to both owners, I think you could very easily put the stage over there, make a front door on the side, and then it opens up the whole room.
That's right.
The way the room used to be a gym back in the day.
It was.
So when you used to walk through the old entrance, you would walk down 2 steps and you were on like a flat ground. And it was like that gym mat, rubber mat type, flooring.
Okay.
And then you'd have to take you would go 20 feet, 30 feet, and then you'd have to take 2 steps up to get to like the bar level, right? So there's this like natural kind of pit area down there. And it just did not make, you're killing a fourth of the room.
That's right.
As the entrance.
Yeah.
It wasn't super difficult. We framed out a stage, and those 2 doors still exist. What were the front doors? One is to the side of the stage, and then we added on to the front of the building to make artist green room,
That's right.
bathrooms, our office now. So that was just like the beginning of the transformation, that happened, and it just really opened up the venue and made it a lot better of an environment for having a performance.
Do you remember kind of like stepping into it? I know you said that you were ready, right? But in your mind, was there any hesitation? Am I making this the right decision? How did you, I guess, can you take me back to that moment?
Oh, yeah, man. It was so weird to me, and I think to other people, that none of these places had success there. We're talking about as good of a location as you could get for a college town. You're across the street from the football stadium. 2 blocks down is Greek Row.
Yeah.
Student housing within walking distance all around you. Yet these places couldn't pull a crowd, without some type of draw, So I think it was kind of baffling to a lot of people on why, a place couldn't be successful there. But at the same time, like, I was watching kind of the behind the scenes of these businesses and, great people and whatnot, but, nobody would market their business in the bar scene or, venue scene around here. It just like, it was kind of like a nobody cared type thing. Like, we're going to get the crowd we're going to get, and I guess we just saw so many areas of improvement. Like, okay, if we can do A, B, C, and D, like that should result in being able to get people in the room. I would have to bring in production rigs to have a show there. Yeah. Neither of the places before owned their own speakers, lighting, all this stuff. Sure. And it's like,
didn't make sense.
College kids, like, they want to be entertained. Sure. Regardless of what it is. So making that environment that a college kid would enjoy, I think was one of the biggest, focal points for us. I was already integrated into the Greek life community. Al and then we brought in our third partner, Kaleo, had the bar restaurant side on lock in terms of knowing, exactly what needed to be done for it to run well. We staffed up just an awesome team, had a great GM out of the gate. Shout out Parker Newhart. Yeah. So it was like, that's when it, really became apparent to me, like, the timing was just perfect. I was doing my thing, hitting on all cylinders. They were really, really starting to take off with Nats becoming like
the spot.
Shortly soon after that, Del Sur came along and took them to even another level in the restaurant game. I continued to grow on the entertainment side and started doing the promoter thing outside of Statesboro. 2017, 2018, 2019, doing Grayson Stadium shows in Savannah at the Bananas Stadium. Luke Combs, John Party, awesome. Chase Rice, Kane Brown, and just that's really when things exponentially, really took off, as a whole.
Yeah. I think that, this story has been fascinating. I think there's a lot of advice that you can offer kind of like the people that are listening. I think first off, from the artist side, let's say that, there's maybe like some people that are, that want to become artists. Mm-hmm. What advice would you have for them?
I think authenticity is a super important thing in the entertainment industry. I think you scroll through like TikTok or something, and if it doesn't grab your attention, if it doesn't pull you in, if it's not unique in any way, it's going to be very hard to stand out. Having your own style and kind of brand, being an artist, being a musician, I mean, you are creating a brand, and just like any other product, it has to be something that the customer wants, and you have to be giving the customer something that they're not already getting. I've always said content is king, in entertainment especially. How do these artists blow up so quickly? It's the content that they're putting out there, so I think just kind of being true to yourself, being authentic, whatever that looks like, and you're going to have to work as hard as every other artist out there. There are a lot of things in our day and age that make it easier But at the same time, with, in terms of like technology and social media and being able to, you could post a video this morning and then by tomorrow it's viral and your life has changed. Yeah. I know a couple of guys like that in the music world who, one video or song changed their trajectory in life.
Yeah.
But at the same time, because it's so easy, it floods floods social media with everybody trying to do it, and thus it makes it harder to stand out and to to set yourself apart from the rest. So it makes that authenticity and brand even more important.
What about from the promoter side? Let's say that somebody has interest in being a promoter. How would you advise them to get in? Don't do it. Is that what you're saying?
Don't do it. Is a couple of my buddies in Florida, it was about a year and a half ago now, said he was a musician and was no longer in a band, and he owned a bunch of production stuff and wanted to get in the event world, and promoting. And I was just like, dude, me as a promoter, it's still I have other things that supplement, how I and my family survive,
Is it kind of like the ups and downs?
Yeah. There's ebbs and flows, spring of 2021, coming out of COVID, events starting to happen again. We literally could not sell out a show. Every show was just sold out. Because people were longing for live music again and entertainment, and but take it to this past semester, the economy being what it is, people really having to be smart in making decisions and how they spend their money, and so people are more so picking and choosing which events they want to go to, and instead of maybe going to all three, they have to choose one that they want to go to.
Yeah.
So it's just, you get that in the promoter world, a bunch of artists on the rise that are hot that everybody wants to see, more tickets sold. Then they get too big, so they're too big for your room and whatnot, and then you not as many artists on the rise, you know what I mean? So it's just, there's a lot of different facets to it, but it's not for the faint of heart. It's and I think for me personally, that's where it's I've kind of found my niche, in our area at least, with being that country music has the highest level of success for our area. I did plenty of events that did not make money. Trying to do all kinds of genres and stuff. And I think that was part of the trial and error that got me to the point of knowing what
people want,
what works and whatnot. So,
yeah. What about kind of advice for, it is very alluring, the club business, the bar business.
Right.
What about for advice for people that have interest in, a venue?
The guy that owned the Borough, which is right before the Blue Room, uber successful dude.
Yeah.
One of the biggest trucking companies in the Southeast, maybe even East Coast. And thought that, these are his words, not mine, thought that this could kind of be a side hobby, playground for him and his friends, or, whatever. And it's just, he realized, I think, that if he's not attacking this bar business like he did his trucking company, then it's a waste of time. And I think that's the realization that he, came to. So if I'd say to anybody that, that has an idea or a product in mind for a bar or venue, and you can go 110% at it, and and develop that, by all means, do it, you know. I think location is of massive, importance when it comes to a bar or music venue. But it I think a lot of people, I hear a lot of people say to me, man, you have the best job in the world. Like, that's so awesome. Like, you get to hang out with the artists, and it's like,
They don't see it.
They don't see it.
The blood, sweat, tears, the countless hours, the up worrying at night.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And I had an event in Orlando at the end of October with Walker Hayes and several other country artists, and literally I wanted to like type a post out about just my day in a nutshell, like just kind of to show an illustration of I'm managing 4 artists and their team. So Walker Hayes alone, they had 40 people in their team, in their crew.
Yeah.
4 buses or 3 buses and a semi.
Yeah.
Is what they travel in. And then the other 4 artists combined had another 22 people total.
Mm-hmm.
So 60 people that I'm responsible for in terms of from the time that they arrive, park their buses, getting the bus drivers to their hotels, breakfast for 60, lunch for 60.
And you're handling all of this.
Yeah, every aspect. I have an awesome assistant, Joey, who's working with me. He was on site with me, and then we had another 3 people, on our team working. We coordinate their ground travel, meaning like anything that they do once they park those buses, we're responsible for taking them to where they need to go. Hotels, the Walmart, wherever.
Whatever.
So it's literally like, as I get the ground transportation requests in, I've got a note just going in my phone, and it's like I've got 2 runners for the day with 2 vans. So it's like it's logistics and scheduling on the fly of like, okay, I've got 6 people going here at 12 o'clock. These 4 people need to be picked up from this location at 12:20. And it's just as the requests come in, like figuring out, okay, who can do this?
How
okay,
to make it happen.
This artist goes off stage, they need to get to the airport ASAP. Have the van waiting side stage for them so they can get in the van and go to the airport. Just from 7 a.m. until the event is over 11 p.m., 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. It's just, it is what it is. Like, it's part of it, but it is not the most fun part of the job, and it's not the most rewarding part of the job. And it's definitely the stuff that people don't see, but that's just, it's just part of it. And there's so many levels of the entertainment aspect. You have to make your customer and the patrons and stuff happy, right? I mean, like, you're not gonna have a business if you don't continue to,
that's right,
strive to make those people, make sure the environment is great, they have a great time. But the artist side is just as important, taking care of their team, showing them hospitality. The entertainment industry is a big word of mouth industry. After a few years of the Blue Room, thankfully, like, we had such a great team and environment that every time an artist would leave, they're telling
other people,
all their musician friends,
you gotta
their
go
agent,
play.
Like, dude, there's something special about Statesboro. And it's there's just so many different levels to it, and you got to try to keep everybody happy, and everybody just taken care of,
What's coming up next?
We've got a handful of things in the works.
Gotcha.
We are closing on the property next door to the Blue Room this month. So there's a big just open grass lot in between us and the stadium. So more room, is great. there's a lot of different things that we could do with having that space. So we're kind of working through that and figuring out what's best for us and what could be best for Statesboro. And just continuing to kind of make sure that we're delivering the highest quality product that we can for our Blue Room patrons, and continuing to bring in the top-notch talent, and just continuing to keep it rolling.
If you had any advice for entrepreneurs out there, leave them with, what would it be?
I would say, being an entrepreneur, being a business owner, there are so many aspects of it that can be so rewarding and make the grind and the hustle so worthwhile. I don't think that my life would be nearly the same today if not for that entrepreneurial spirit of wanting to find that success for myself and thus my family. Time is something you can't get back, and being able to, in a sense, make my own schedule, or make sure that I'm at the 3-year-old's fall party on a Friday at 2 p.m., or being able to go see family, during the week, at Christmas time, things that I see some of my friends only being able to get, 2, maybe 3 days at Christmas to do their traveling and see their family and whatnot. I think there's aspects of being an entrepreneur and your own boss that you just can't buy, but with that, years of busting your butt to get to that point to where, you feel okay taking a Friday afternoon off, or hopping in the car for 3 or 4 days during the week. So I would say, whatever you're passionate about, go all in. And I think that anybody can be an entrepreneur. You have to have that passion, that belief that it can work, and that you're filling a need for somebody, and just believe in it, believe in yourself, and go for it.
Yeah.
It's like, I heard older guys tell me when I was younger, don't do something that you can't stand, And I got to a point where I had not finished at Bama. I was managing CVS's. I was not happy. I was not enjoying life. I was just in that monotonous,
grind.
Yeah, just the same thing every day. To the point where I am now, following my dreams, going after it, and doing things that I love, working with people that I love, and most importantly, having the ability to take care of family and live life with them. So
I love that.
Yeah.
William, I want to thank you for coming onto the show.
Absolutely.
Thank you for everything that you've done.
No doubt.
For kind of the audiences that come to your shows, Statesboro just in general. And it's just such an inspiration that this has been your journey. There's so many parts of the story that I didn't even know, but had a wonderful time learning about it.
Likewise, man. Thank you for having this platform for, local business owners and entrepreneurs. I think this is how markets can grow and And I think that you've just done an amazing job of cultivating that kind of vibe and scene here. So thank you.
Appreciate it.
No doubt.
Cool, man.